Good morning. Today we're going full old school mechanic and working on our new little project here. 1990 Mitsubishi Montero. Picked this bad boy up for 1,800 bucks last week. I just saw it and couldn't pass it up, and I'll fill you in on the story and stuff on that in just a little bit. But we're gonna go ahead and open this thing up and dig in. I'll show you guys the inside here in a sec. It's kind of a mess. The outside's in decent shape, but a little bit of a mess. But today we're starting our focus right in here because she runs, but she does not run great. It's running extremely rich. And it does run, but I mean, it's like black unburnt fuel out the exhaust rich. So we're gonna check over all the basics. It does look like it has newer spark plugs on it. It looks like someone's been playing with the timing. So we're gonna check a couple things. We're gonna check and see if the plugs are gapped right, if they're damaged. We're gonna check the timing on it. We're gonna check for vacuum leaks and spray around, look for that, because that's definitely a possibility. We're gonna check some of the emission stuff, mass airflow sensor, things like that, that could be a culprit. I also understand these, very similarly to the old Ford trucks that I play with a lot, have a coolant temperature sensor that is like absolutely critical to the way these things run. It sends signal to the computer to adjust, make it richer when you're in, cold weather starts, when it's in basically a choke condition. I do see there's a couple wires up here that are just not connected to anything. And without poking around too much, I'm almost wondering if those are for my coolant temp sensor and it's not plugged in. I also see a lot of other pretty suspicious wiring things and connections. So let's dig around, check it out, and figure out what's what. It seemed like a good idea at the time. I don't know. It's gonna be fun. So we're just going to start with some super basics here. I'm not real familiar with these Monteros, or Pajeros, I guess some people call them. And there's not a lot of information online on these. They're kind of a weird car where there's a cult following for them, but they don't have a ton of support. They never really caught on. But it is the same basic 3-liter V6 that they put in a ton of stuff. So I can find some stuff on the engine and info for it, but there's not a whole lot of aftermarket support and information readily available for these things. If you just look up, hey, my Montero runs rough, you're not going to find a lot. But what I do gather is these things are kind of known for having some electrical gremlins, especially just from age. I honestly think a lot of it is attributed to. But we're going to check the basics. Like, I believe the mass airflow sensor is actually located here in the air filter housing. We're going to check that. That could be a potential culprit for us. I noticed this plug on the throttle position sensor is literally just sits there. It doesn't seem like it makes a great connection. So we're going to bend on those prongs a little bit, and then I'm going to zip tie that in place. We're also going to go ahead and take our air boot off because I'm assuming that's like an idle air mixture setup down there, like an idle air sensor. Looks brand new, but it's possible with new parts, that's usually where I start looking, because somebody could have did something wrong.
A little foreshadowing. I really should have heeded that advice a little bit better as I went along on this project. You'll see what I mean.
I don't see anything totally crazy back here as far as like vacuum stuff unplugged, or anything that's split wide open. I mean, there's definitely some suspicious stuff around though. So this blue wire is running to this single pin, some kind of temp sensor. But there's another temp sensor right here. I think you can see that. That's just broken off. And I think maybe that's where these 2 or possibly 3 wires go. There's also a single wire sensor right here that's heavily corroded. And then there's this sensor, which we'll have to try and get to. So that is a 2 wire. So that's probably our temp sensor that's actually giving info to the engine.
I believe that set of sensors is actually an emissions thing.
That's the one apparently that's often notoriously bad, but it looks like it's connected proper. I don't know what these wires are though, and that's a little concerning. Maybe I can try and look that up in some kind of a diagram somewhere. Everything is good going into the coil, it would appear. It's definitely been replaced. Distributor connections are tight, but it's maxed out one direction on adjustment, which makes me wonder if maybe somebody's just really jacked with this timing too much to make this thing run good. We're just going to dig in. I think my plan is going to be, I'm just going to dig in. I'm going to clean up everything that I can, wiring wise and sensor wise, and see if that makes any kind of improvement. And then if not, then we'll start digging into diagnosing. But we got to start with the basics and just sort of get this back into a presentable shape under the hood here. All right, before we even really dig into too much, let's throw some juice on the stuff that probably hadn't seen it in a while. Hood hinges, which were sticking pretty good. Hood latch. Let's go ahead and hit just a little bit on that distributor hold down bolt, because I'm going to be breaking that loose here soon. Couple drops on these fittings here. Yup. Okay. Well, that air filter is horrendous. Our math appears to be horrendous also. So that may be our running problem right there, and part of it's not connected, which I'm sure should be.
This would turn out to be one of 3 primary issues with the car, but unfortunately, I'm not going to figure that out for a little while here.
This filter is supposed to be white, and it is black and awful. Usually I'm not big on pointing at stuff like that, because they can be abused pretty badly, but that one's seen some stuff. Blue streak, part number. So this math appears to maybe have been replaced before, but not properly. There's a screw missing here. This is definitely a newer math, and it is horribly dirty. But someone's changed it at some point. So someone was hunting down the same issue I'm hunting down. But we're gonna have to get some cleaner and shoot this thing a little bit and clean it up, because that's gnarly. Let's go ahead and just set it off to the side for now. Let's go ahead and get this intake tube off. Look at how dirty the inside of this little, I don't know what that really filter does. It probably just, see, because that's your actual MAF there, which it's also really dirty, but not that old looking. This is almost like some kind of baffle filter. I don't know. We'll try and clean that stuff up, because it's a remanufactured part. Lot 29/21, so maybe it's from 2021. It's a Mitsubishi part that's been remanufactured, and it had a blue streak sticker on it. So it's interesting that it's replaced, because that was one of the things I was hoping could be a simple fix.
Oh, past me. I could have saved you so much time because it would have been a simple fix. Fun fact too, that Blue Streak brand is also the same brand I used for the distributor cap when we did the Duster project. That was really cruddy and crappy out of the box. It had metal shavings and stuff inside. The contacts inside the distributor were like misshapen. And ultimately I had to do a bunch of cleaning up and modification to it to even get that part to work. And this MAF, which was in fact bad, was the same brand and not that old. So Blue Streak is kind of on my shit list now.
It is plugged in properly. I don't know if there's an adjustment on that. I'll have to look it up. I know there is on the throttle position sensor. It is most definitely adjustable, so we may clown with that a little. I downloaded the Haynes manual for this truck so that I could figure out how to do that. It's butterfly sticky. So we're definitely going to want to clean that, and I'm going to go ahead and shoot some lubricant on the outside spring here. But that should not be that sticky. Intake's pretty dirty. We'll probably give it a clean out too. This is probably one of the easier to get to spark plug wires, so I'm just going to pick one and pull it. Man, plug wire does not want to come off. Everything is so brittle in this cold and shrunk and sticking. Okay, I got that one off. That plug end looks to be almost brand new, but we're going to go ahead and break it out, and I'd like to just inspect it. Crows are really annoying. Does anyone else feel that way? It's like they always know when I'm recording. Looks like it's going to be 13/16. Yep. All right. It wasn't overly tight, which is good. It's coming out a little tight, but fine. The threads are probably a little dirty. But it's not totally stripped. It's coming out. Definitely tighter than I'd like it to be. It should be finger tight at this point, and it's not. Wow. It's an NGK. BPR 5 EGP. It is one of the most fouled plugs I have ever seen. I mean, the tip of that thing is just completely covered. That's horrendous though, so unfortunately we're gonna have to pull all of them, clean them, and put them back in. And if we can't figure out what's wrong with it pretty much right away, we're probably gonna have to do that more than once. But let's go ahead and get started on it. Also looks like it has a rebuilt AC compressor on it. I did push on the Schrader valve actually while I was checking this thing out when I went to buy it. And it gave a tiny, tiny, tiny little wisp of pressure, but it's definitely not charged. But it could be as simple as some O-rings and getting that back up and going too. Interesting that this one has a crush washer and this one does not. Boy, it'd be nice if it's just a simple tune-up and clean-up thing and this thing runs good. I would love that. Be a nice breath of fresh air. The guy I bought it from didn't seem like an idiot or anything, but he didn't seem super mechanical. This is interesting. The tip of this spark plug is loose. It wasn't screwed in all the way. Super carboned up. I mean, like caked on. Like, wow. Just wow. All right, that's this side. On to the other. All right, let's get these spark plugs clean and reinstalled. I did have a crush washer I found from another spark plug. I was able to slide, unscrew off, and I'm going to try and get it on this one. It seems like it's going okay. Never did solve the mystery of what happened to said crush washer that was on this plug. It's kind of a weird mystery, but this one's on there. It's relatively flat. Once I snug it up, that should seat okay. Hopefully. Let's go ahead and grab our brake clean. Grab our brush and clean these up, throw them back in. I'm not going to go through the expense of replacing them all yet. Once we get this thing really running right and we know we're not going to keep fouling these, we can do that. But why put brand new plugs in just to foul them out when we still haven't figured out why it's running so terrible? I just need these things to spark off a little better for our testing purposes. All right, so our plugs are back in and tight, and we're about to put our plug wires back on, but I just want to check and make sure that my firing order is actually correct. Again, just because somebody's got newer stuff on it doesn't mean they did it right. 135462, and it says it goes this way. Counterclockwise. The Haynes manual actually says that it rotates clockwise and should go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to pop the cap off. I'm going to crank it over and see which way it spins. And if it spins clockwise, we're going to ignore what's on the top of the cap, because maybe it's just a multi-vehicle fit and wrong. If it spins counterclockwise like the cap says, I'm going to leave the firing order be. That's how I'm going to determine. All right, I did some reading, and it sounds like, even though it doesn't really make any sense, the way the cap is set up is actually correct. It is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 firing order, but the way it actually works under that cap, I don't know if the electrodes don't line up or something weird they were explaining it. Long and short of it is, we're going to leave it alone for now. We're going to go ahead and put all of our plug wires back on. I'm going to go ahead and put our slightly cleaned up MAF back on. Let's get that fitted in here. And all we've really done is we fixed a couple loose connections so far, cleaned the MAF a little bit. I don't think that throttle position sensor was actually like plugged in correctly at all. It had no clip on it, and I did some jerry-rig zip tying to hold that in place. Got the MAF connected, and that seems to be just fine. And then there's this broken plug, which which I'll bring you in to see, which I think was another coolant temp sensor. Right here, if you squish on that, green juice comes out. All right, we got everything put back together. Got the battery hooked back up. All we've done is clean. We haven't actually really modified much of anything. We're gonna go ahead and try and fire it up. I found the timing marks. I put the timing light on, and we're gonna try and get this thing to run and check timing and see if it's in ballpark. If it is, then we can pretty safely assume too that our firing order and everything is correct. If I can't see the marks, if we're not sure, then we're gonna shut her down and I'll pull the number 1 spark plug back out, find top dead center, and figure the cap out. But let's start simple. Let's just see if it'll turn on. It's running. It's stumbling, but it's running. Definitely rich. It's puffing out that black smoke still. Helps to give it some power, huh? Kind of see it. We're gonna shut it off and ground out the computer so it's not advancing timing too much. Got my lovely assistant here helping me find my timing mark. So we were able to find it. I put a little dab of like some fingernail polish on it. I don't know how good it's gonna work, but hopefully we'll be able to see it okay. I found it again. It's right here again. Let's put some more on it actually, just to make sure, because it was very faint to see. You want to put another dab of that on my finger? I'm having her put the fingernail polish on my finger since it's on the side, so it's hard to get to anyway, and I don't ruin her fingernail polish. So, top tip. Okay. Good. Good. And then we're gonna loosen our hold down on the distributor. Okay, go ahead and fire it up.
Ready?
Yep, ready. Yeah, try it a couple times. The starter, I think, is starting to go on it. There it is. I see the mark. Can you come wiggle this around, because I don't think it's making a good ground still. I think this bolt will be a good ground. You just gotta kind of
Wiggle it.
find a spot and wiggle it, or you can try on that bolt. Just kind of, yeah, hold it to it, wiggle it around. So it definitely needs to go this way more. Pull it off there. All right, now put it on there. Doesn't seem to really be making any difference. So we're gonna hit a little bit of a brick wall here temporarily. Thing runs terrible. I did move the distributor 1 tooth over to try and get the timing adjusted right. I can't quite get it where it should be. I can get it to about 20 degrees advanced, which is too much. Or I can get it to about probably almost 0, probably in reality like 3 degree or 4 degrees after top dead center. I really need to be in between, but it won't do in between because my guess is the distributor is failing. I'm also getting extremely inconsistent spark. It'd be almost impossible to show you on video, but with the timing light hooked up, sometimes I get 0 spark out of, I've tried a couple different cylinders too, and I'm getting either sometimes no spark or very sporadic spark. If I twist the distributor a little bit, I can get it to start firing on some of the cylinders, but not others. It's very odd. And when I disconnect the, when I ground the computer to basically take away the advance curve, that doesn't seem to make any difference, which means it's clearly just, I guess, not advancing itself. All that to be said, I'm not 100% certain what's wrong with it, but with all the other new parts that I've come across that I was planning on replacing because I thought that would be the culprits, the math's fairly new and seems to be working. When I unplug it, it does make the vehicle run a lot different. When I unplug the TPS, it makes the vehicle run a lot different. What's weird is, with it plugged in, it won't let me throttle up over like 2,000 RPM where it starts to limit me back down to 1,000 and bounces, almost like a rev limiter. When I unplug the TPS, I can free rev it, which is odd. So I don't really know. For the inconsistent spark, it's possible it's the coil. It's possible it's the computer. I'm hoping that's not the case. It's possible, but even it looks like it's possibly been changed. If someone's been messing around with it, it's exposed in the cab. It could be the coil, could be the distributor, could be the cap and rotor button that are old and I clean but aren't great. So I think we're going to put this thing on pause temporarily. I'm going to get on Rock Auto or somewhere because no one stocks a lot of parts for this engine. And I'm just going to parts cannon this one a little bit. The parts are all cheap, so I'm not horribly worried about that. It ran slightly better when I cleaned the plugs and put them back in, but only because the plugs weren't fouled out. And now they're fouled out again, and it's just, you know, rich black smoke like the Batmobile. I'll fire it up one more time just to show you what it's doing, where we're at, and then we'll be back with some more parts next time. See, it's running, but horrible. Put this on the number 1. I don't know if you can see that, but it's flashing every once in a while. Not consistent in any way, shape, or form. Some of the plugs, it just doesn't do anything at all. Let me show you my rev issue. Disconnect TPS. Rev's fine. But look at the black smoke billowing out of this thing. It is like Batmobile smoke screen. So I don't know. Clearly it's getting more fuel than it needs and not enough spark. So we're not going to totally throw parts cannon at this. Well, we are, but I did do some troubleshooting. Off camera, I tried to test a little bit. I did test the coil, and both the primary and the secondary windings of that coil tested out of spec. So we're going to start there. And that package came in today, so I'm going to yank that thing off and try it out. Bought a whole bunch of parts off Rock Auto. It's coming in 3 shipments. We're going to change one piece at a time to see if we get any improvement. All of this stuff is going to help it regardless, and it probably needs it. But I also want to know what the actual problem is. So we're going to do it one piece at a time so we can at least kind of do the wrong thing kind of the right way and troubleshoot. I did buy a Delphi coil. It is part number GN10170-11B1. for anybody that cares. It's nice and shiny and looks just like the old one. So we're going to go ahead and pop this thing open, toss that on, and see if we get any kind of improvement in how this thing is firing. It was firing extremely intermittent before. So I'm hoping that this helps even out and gives us consistent spark. Maybe that'll even completely solve the problem. Either way, couldn't hurt. Let's get that out of here. Out with the old, in with the new. If this works out, that'd be excellent, but I did spend $300 total on parts, and this piece was a whopping $9 of that. So if it does fix it, it'll be, I wouldn't say disappointing, but I'll feel like I wasted maybe a little bit on all the other stuff. But again, I think it does need it. So total, what I've ordered so far is this coil. I've also ordered what I'm calling the ignition control module, this thing here. I ordered a full new distributor with cap, rotor button. That was like 130 bucks or 125 bucks. That was the most expensive part. This was $9. This thing was like 10 bucks. The distributor came with the cap and button for that 125 or whatever it was. I found a set of plug wires on clearance for $9. So I got a set of those. I also got a coolant temp sensor because we're missing one. And that was, I think, $8 or something like that. I got a new air filter. Clearance also $3, Rock Auto. So I bought 2 of them. What else did we get? We got a new throttle position sensor. I ordered a new oxygen sensor because I'm sure this one is awful. As rich as this thing's running, it's probably fouled out. Same with the plugs. I bought 6 new copper tip plugs instead of the platinums, which this thing should like a little bit more. So I got those as well. I think that's probably about it. I'll have to go through my parts box when everything comes in and give you the full rundown. But let's get this thing hooked back up. Coil wire, input and feed to the distributor are back on. Okay, that's that. It's easy enough. We are going to fire this thing off, see what happens. So place your bets. I'm hoping it works. If it seems like it's running better, we'll throw the timing light on it and see if we're getting an intermittent spark still or if it's consistent. Let's say. Still runs. Wouldn't say it runs good. Do we have consistent spark? I don't know if you can see that. Very intermittent. Better now. So coil was certainly not the culprit, which means we'll hang on to this one as a backup, I suppose, the one I threw on the ground. A buddy of mine's got one of these he's working on too, so I figure I'll save all the parts I know are good because he may need them. I was hoping the coil would give me a consistent spark, but no such luck there. I did order a ladder for the back of it though. Figure it'll look cool. But alright, well, I guess we'll pick back up on this again tomorrow-ish, when hopefully my last Rock Auto box gets here. Then we'll party some more. Alright, So we're back on the Montero again, and this time with some more parts in hand. So if you remember last we touched this thing, we were getting a random misfire that we couldn't diagnose, and that was causing that excess fuel to be run through this thing. I did do a little bit of testing. Like I said, I didn't just completely throw parts cannon at it. I mean, I did. I ordered a bunch of parts, but I also tried to troubleshoot. We knew we were getting a very, very unusual misfire situation where sometimes cylinders were totally dead. Sometimes it would get sparked, but very intermittently. I could not get the timing light to show accurate on this thing at all. So I tested the coil. Coil did test bad. So we threw that in first. That did not make any change whatsoever. So now we're going in with what I believe to be the next culprit, which is the distributor and the ignition control module. So we're gonna go ahead and throw those on it and see if that makes any difference. Hopefully it does, because beyond that, with the ignition side of things, the only other thing that I really am suspect of would be the computer, which I don't want to be the problem because that's going to be the hardest piece to track down and replace. But let's go ahead and get this distributor, the old one out, this new one in, and see what we get. So I am pretty hopeful that these ignition parts will take care of this, at least the misfire. One of the other things I'm kind of hoping is, even if we can't fix the misfire, or if we can fix the misfire and that's not the rich condition, maybe we just have something simple like a fuel pressure regulator or something that's failed, which we saw on our Bronco that we did. I had that issue and it was puffing out black acrid smoke like this. And what ended up being the remedy there with that fuel pressure regulator, it was pretty quick and pretty simple. And I was able to do that out at our place in Keystone with minimal tools and minimal effort. And it ran great again after that. So I'm kind of hoping we get lucky in that regard. But hard to say, too soon to tell. We'll kind of have to find out, won't we? Let's go ahead and disconnect some of these wires so we can get this thing off easier. We do have a new cap and rotor that came with my new distributor that I got super cheap off Rock Auto. I mean, every single part for this thing is from Rock Auto so far, and it was all cheap. The distributor was the most expensive part, and even it was less. I think it was like just over $100. It was like $115 or something. Like I said, nothing's been horribly expensive. We can leave the rotor button on. We do need to mark our direction, which we're going to call it basically right in between oil filler and this bracket. And previously I did pull this thing up and rotate it one tooth. So when we put the new one in, we're going to correct that. We're going to go back in clockwise one extra tooth. So we're actually probably going to be sitting like over here. Put it back to the way it was prior to us messing with it at all. Hold down bolt. We're going to set that somewhere safe. Put it right over here off to the side. Now this thing is loose. It should come right up. Everything's disconnected. Okay, so we're seeing that the gear is now right here. So, okay. So it was about here. Put the hold down bolt in, but we're just going to do it on loose. Obviously, we're going to have to play with our timing a little bit. Set our new cap on here. these don't fit nearly as snugly on this distributor cap, which probably because it was the cheapest one available, but we're gonna run with it for now. See what happens. Okay, I'm gonna plug our distributor back in. The connector does fit proper, which is good. Let's change out that ICM while we're here. So here's our new one. It does have metal backing, so we're gonna clean so we can properly ground. Yeah. Improvement anyway. One thing I'm not sure about is I've also learned these wires are for a coolant temp sensor that's not installed. I do have one and we're going to install that, and it actually goes in this plug right here. But I don't have that in yet. So if this doesn't work out and make it run any better, we're still, before we abandon all hope, we're going to go ahead and install that, tie onto these wires and plug in a CTS, just to see if maybe somehow that makes more of a difference than I anticipated. I would think that the coolant temp sensor, while it is important to this system, probably would not cause the random misfire. It would just cause the really rich running condition. But, you know, like I said, it's kind of hard to say what we got going on here. So, all on. Ignition control module's in. Battery's still hooked up. Let's see if it'll fire with the timing the way it's set currently. Cross your fingers. It's running. Still running rich, but it doesn't seem like it's running as rich. What's weird is the throttle position sensor, which I had squared away, is now giving me issues again. So we're going to go ahead and replace that throttle position sensor. We'll shut it down, change that out, throw the coolant temp sensor on, and see what we get. Okay, so we've had a little bit of revelation maybe. I've replaced all those parts. We put our coolant temp sensor in. So I replaced our coolant temp sensor, got that all wired in nice. Obviously the new coil, the new distributor, the new ignition control module. I went ahead and got the TPS on there, put it all back together. Doesn't run any better, almost exactly the same, except when I ground out the pin for the timing to override the computer, I was able to kind of dial in the timing a little bit and get it pretty close to like 10 degrees advanced. Still ran like crap though, and I was trying to figure out why. And I also noticed, we noticed the other day, that it's all melty in here on this little fusible link section, and I wasn't sure why. I went down in here because I was thinking, well, at this point, maybe it's the computer. And I had this gizmo, which was coming apart, that was bolted right here, came loose from its backing and was actually arcing on itself and sparking. And when I went up front, it was smoking from that fusible link block. So whatever this is either bad or needs to be cleaned up. I looked, I'm not even sure what this piece does, but I don't think it's bad. I think it's just corroded. I think water got on this thing and has damaged it. So I'm going to try and clean this up, put it back together proper so it's not arcing on the box, arcing on itself, and tighten this computer up because there's a ground to it that also seems slightly loose. So we're going to button all that back up and then see if that makes any difference. So here's the deal. We put all those parts in, new distributors in, new coils in, new control module. We've got new coolant temp sensor wired in down here. I tightened the grounds on the computer and whatever that weird regulator box thing was, that transistor looking gizmo. We cleaned it up, put it back together, bolted it up fine. Unplugged, the car doesn't run. Plugged in, it does run. So I assume it functions. And we're running, but we're not running much better. I'll give you guys a look-see here. Played with the idle a little. It's like 600 RPM probably. Seems happy enough there. But it's definitely missing a little. You can still smell it, it's still running. Very rich, you can actually see it a little bit. So something is still amiss. So honestly, the only other things I think it could possibly be is it could be the computer, which I hope it's not, or it could be the fuel pressure regulator, which very similar issue happened on the Bronco when I had it. It was doing the same thing, just black smoke, super rich, misfiring pretty badly, and that ended up being the culprit. It's not an easy way to test on this one. There's no Schrader valve or anything on this fuel rail, so I can't plug in a gauge. I can't really tell what's going on. The only way to know is going to be to remove it. So I'm not going to remove it without replacing it. So I'm going to go ahead and order another one of those. We'll stick that on there in a couple days. But other than that, I mean, I think that's all she's going to get. If that doesn't fix it, I guess we'll figure something out, but we'll see. We're back at it again on the Montero. Hopefully, maybe for the last time on the rich running condition issue. Finally, after all the parts we've thrown at it, I decided, even though the MAF has been replaced on this thing before, it's one of the last things left we haven't done that's easy enough to change, and a lot of the symptoms seem like it may be what it is. So we're gonna change that, and to do that, we got this guy offline from Amazon, and it's in this cool origami box, kind of nifty. This guy, our mass airflow sensor. So we're gonna change that out and put it in the factory housing. And while we're at it, we might as well also put in a new air filter. We got this super cool classic box air filter that we're gonna go ahead and give a try. $3 on Rock Auto, so I figured why not. So put that on, new MAF, and see what we get. All right, let's dive into this thing again, huh? Hi, bye. Love you. All right, pop the hood, yank this thing apart. All right. So before we do any of this, let's actually go ahead and disconnect the battery so that way with the new MAF, everything will be reset computer-wise. So take that off and dangle it off to the side. Unplug our MAF sensor here. Set that off to the side. Loosen up the connection on the intake tube. This poor intake tube's been on and off this thing so many times. Undo our band clamps. We're gonna have to take the whole intake tube off to do this. What a dumb design this is. All right, well here's the old air filter, which is disgusting. We gotta get the boot off this thing. There we go. Set that off to the side here. And now we need to unbolted, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Phillips head screws, but one's missing, so 7 Phillips head screws. And this whole thing should come apart and off here. Easy enough. All right, let's crack this thing loose. Let's take these 2 smaller Phillips head screwdrivers, and we're gonna start unscrewing them. So you turn it, you put it on there, and you're gonna turn it this ways.
Counterclockwise?
Yep. Try it. Give it. You might have to use both hands. Yep. And I'll start over here on this side. And we don't want to lose these, so let's take them all out, and we're just going to put them all on that paver right there. So we keep them all together. There you go.
I was tightening it for a second.
Ah. Yeah, that'll get you. That'll get you every time. I'd spray paint this black and clean it up, but I made the cardinal sin of working on a car and I'm out of black spray paint, which should never happen. But this time it did. All right, we got it out.
All
Now,
of them are out.
this should just kind of come off, I think. Now, this comes off. Oh, there's like a rubber gasket here to try and separate, because we'll have to reuse that.
Dun, 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 dun.
There we go.
Yay.
Yahtzee. So now this is off. This is out, and this thing is pretty nasty.
Gross.
So hopefully, maybe this is our problem. We're gonna find out, and you can stay right there. Bring our new one in. So this one we just have to be more careful with because we don't want to get it dirty or messed up when we're changing it. So we're gonna set it. See, this one has the probe sticking out into the passageway, and this one doesn't, which is weird. If you look, here's the inside of the old, and it's just clean pass through. And here's the new one, and you can see the sensors in there.
I'm trying my best.
So definitely different. Different, yes. Better, I don't know. Let's see. So we'll set this down. So let's just try and set this thing down just like it was. Let's finger tighten these all in for now. Just get them started so that way we can make sure they all fit and adjust before we tighten them all down. Good. Okay. New math installed.
Oh, my legs.
I don't know that there really is a up and down to this per se. The plug was on the top before, so we'll put it back in the same way. All right, so we got the housing back in. Got the hoses, look like all snug here. Let's cinch down all of our band clamps. Just snug. We don't want to go crazy. This is some old brittle rubber, so I don't want to overdo it. All right, my trusty assistant's going to go fire this thing up. Here you go. You know how to crank it?
No.
Lift up. You got it. Yep.
Ah.
Hop in. Just stick the key in and turn, and just put it in there. It only kind of goes in the one way. It'll just fit all the way in. And just twist and crank it. Crank it until it runs and then let go of the key. All right, now let go. Perfect. No, don't turn it back. Just let it go. Turn it back on. Turn it. Crank it. Do it. All right, and just let it go. It's got a high idle now, which it didn't before. Maybe that's a good thing. It is not black acrid smoke coming out the back. So that's new. Let's see if the idle drops back down on its own after it warms up. It's idling a little high. That might be because I played with the idle a little bit, which I shouldn't have done trying to troubleshoot and fix this thing. Rev it up a little bit. Hit the gas pedal. Don't touch the key, just the gas pedals, the one on the right, the little one, the skinny one. Just press it once. Press and let go.
That was fun.
One more like that, just don't press it as far. Do it again. Good. One more, rev it up a little bit. Okay. It's running a touch rich, but it also has to learn. And it's cold still, so it might be running rich as a initial, you know, like a choke setting. So it's definitely running better. We're gonna check voltages on the TPS. Come here, sweetie. Come over here on this side. Hold the meter for me. First, let me see. 14 volts, okay, that's good. Now I want you to hold that meter and hold this one on this post right here. And then I'm gonna touch it to this other wire, and I want you to tell me what the gauge says on it. Only 4, huh? Should be about 5, so that's not good to start with. All right, let's try and adjust that. All right, so it was kind of a long road, but we got there. So after fiddling, dialing in the throttle position sensor, this thing is finally running how it's supposed to. So we had to do a whole laundry list of part replacement. We really did kind of throw the kitchen sink at it. And normally I don't love that method, but I do love Rock Auto, who has super cheap parts for this thing. We put a ton of stuff in this, and I only spent all total with everything. I think our final came out to be like right around 400 bucks worth of parts. And most of that stuff really was needed. There was only a few parts we didn't need. Fuel pressure regulator turns out was fine, but we changed it anyway. And honestly, the throttle position sensor I think was fine. Didn't really need it either. But everything else really should have been replaced anyhow. So I'm not disappointed that we did it. But this thing is now where it needs to be. It idles great, it runs good, it's not running rich anymore. I'm gonna fire it up and let you hear it, let you see it, and show you kind of what we came up with here. It was a long, bumpy road, but in the end, it all worked out. So she kicks on and she does a high idle at first, like almost like a choke setting, and it is supposed to do that. I looked that up. We're gonna let her get through her warm-up cycle, and I'll show you once she's kind of throttled down and happy. But look at that, gotta love it. Look at this thing just purring like a baby. Look how smooth it's idling. And I'll show you something real interesting. I put 2 cans of Freon in that AC. And check this out. 82 degrees outside. This thing is blowing ice cold. That air is 56 degrees and falling. Ice cold AC, actually. I'm amazed by that. And it works perfectly fine. Blower fans working, AC compressors working, vent selectors are working. We're starting to slow down a little now. 52 degrees. This thing is, that's crazy. It's dropping, you know, that's 30 degrees off. It's still falling a little, 51.8. I mean, it's significantly colder in here, and it is fully functional AC, which in Florida, that's a huge deal. And this thing's idling right now at probably about 800 RPM. You drop it into gear, she sits right in at about 500 RPM. Dead smooth. You cannot even feel this thing running. I took it on a test drive the other day, and I thought it stalled out at a light. It was idling so smooth. It's pretty impressive. Yeah. AC controls work. We just shut it off to make it a little quieter in here. This thing's idling dead smooth, just like it's supposed to. I'm just so amazed by this air conditioning. That is unexpected, to say the least, but very welcomed. Yeah, pretty cool. So there you have it, guys. We are done under here. Running, driving, idling smooth, clean exhaust, no more horrible smell of fuel, working ice cold air conditioning out of a 1990 Mitsubishi Montero we picked up for $1,800. So we're about $400 in parts in it. I towed it here myself, so that was free. So $2,200 basically this thing owes us right now. And it's an excellent machine. So we're gonna put a little bit more into it. I've got that the ladder rack for the rear coming in. I ordered some cross braces and a roof basket for it. We're gonna kind of snazz this thing up, give it that kind of old school retro off-roader overlanding look, and maybe even throw some decals and stuff on it and make this a fun little toy. So you'll see that next time when we work on this thing. And do me a favor, if you've made it this far in this saga, like and subscribe, please. It's wild. I think I looked it up the other day, 97% of people that watch my videos are not subscribers to the channel. I only have 2% of viewers that are subscribed. And we've got like 690 subscribers. We get to 1,000 subscribers and I'm finally not doing this for absolutely free, which would be wonderful, because any money I make off this YouTube channel is gonna go right back into the YouTube channel. More parts, more cars, more fun, more enjoyment for you guys. So do me a favor, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time when we work on this Montero and we do more stuff. Till then, let's go enjoy the fruits of our labor, shall we?